Greetings, ladies and gents, and welcome to this latest edition of Tales from Outer Space, where I take stories from across the internet and read them for your entertainment. This particular story is called We Would Like to Meet You, written by 97C Webb. There, sir, message transmitted. Hopefully we hear back soon. Indeed, Private. I imagine our first contact without even meeting them physically has gone so well. Within a short period of time, we may be able to see them, after several direct spans of textual communications. How to imagine, sir, especially with our cutting-edge technology, who would have thought that another species would be able to decode what we have transmitted via FTL without knowing our language? That is why you are here, to learn the first rule of diplomacy and tactics. Never underestimate the opposition. Sounds easy, but overdoing it leads to paranoia. And underdoing it leaves you dead. Quite so, sir. Anyways, I'll keep watch over this. Continue on. Overseer Scottit calmly walked out of the room, leaving Brunt to monitor the state-of-the-art antenna to read the FTL comms background noise and pick out the signal coming from somewhere called Earth. Brunt, getting back to work, puts on the audio production device and starts to listen closely to the filtered noise for the telltale signs of communication. The sound of erratic, yet known long and short tones interspersed with moments of silence. Listening closely, he hears the underlying hiss of the system and tries to stay awake. Hours later, he snaps awake as part of his mind picks up the chirps that have been ingrained into his mind since he was young. Looking to the stars and ships above, quickly writing down what he is hearing, and then calls the Overseer again. We would like to meet you as well. Where would you like to meet? Finally, a straightforward answer, and nice and short as well. Brunt announces out loud, to no one in particular, reflecting back on the massive dump of text that he received a couple weeks ago that resulted in him needing to have an operation done on his wrist after writing it out. What is it, Private? Sir! Brunt jumps up upon knowledge of his Overseer being in the room. They reply back, nice and short, and wanting us to choose a meeting place. Excellent. The best meeting place will be PELAGIC 5's fourth planet. Nice and close in easy directions. It's in between two pulsars and has very set frequencies. Understandable, sir. Such a simple instruction cannot lead to any issues. Indeed. Here, I'll write it down, and then you can hammer it out to them. Great. Meet us at PELAGIC 5. Between the two pulsars are frequency 5 Zoltans and 7.3254 Zoltans. Brunt quickly punches out the text and ensures the antenna does actually sends it out, and goes back into his listening stupor, waiting for the next reply. Hours pass. Even more hours. Eventually, more beeping arrives, and Brunt writes it out as received. How long is the Zoltan? Brunt, slightly flabbergasted, calls up, and Overseer Scottit arrives shortly after. What do they mean when they say how long a Zoltan is? It is exactly 5 frutums. It is our oldest unit. We are communicating through literal subspace, and they cannot even understand our clock. Brunt, calm yourself. It could be a minor misunderstanding. They may have mistranslated our units. Try transmitting the frutum equivalent instead. Very well, sir. A Zoltan is exactly 5 frutums, making the pulsar to be 25 frutums and 36.627 frutums. More time passes. How long is a frutum given that 5 of them is equal to a Zoltan? See? They don't know. Surely, for they have replied back with the exact same units, and even got the ratio correct. I'll go find a unitary dictionary and see if that'll help. The Overseer heads out and returns shortly to see Brunt staring despairingly at the note. I've returned with the dictionary. Here, just send the actual definition. The writers of this did much better job than what I could try and paraphrase it as. Brunt takes the dictionary and starts relaying it through the antennae. Zoltan, the smallest non-fractional unit of time measurement, set to be the exact rotational period of Gasset's pulsar. After punching this out, Brunt looks intently at the definition again, feeling that something is off. Going back into his listening stupor, he constantly turns over in his mind that something seems quite wrong. Where is Gasset's pulsar? Oh no, circular reference, Overseer. Overseer! What is it this time? Last time you yelled for me, it turned into an interstellar incident. Those headlines are still some of the most sought-after papers ever. We have a problem. there is a circular reference to our reasoning. The time is based off the revolution of Gaised's pulsar, but the only way to tell them what Gaised's pulsar is to tell them the frequency, which again is based off the revolution of Gaised's pulsar. That is not... Well, You're right, it is circular. That's not good. What about... No, that's the same thing. Well, ask them. Okay, but the likeliness of them doing something is quite unlikely. But at least we can try. The only way to identify Gaised's pulsar is by its frequency. We just realized that our entire system is circular. If you can come up with a meeting place that we can meet at, please let us know. Before Brunt can even get back into his stupor, a new message arrives. How good is your science? What do you mean, how good is our science? We are communicating with them over FTL comms, which only has a purpose if you are spacefaring. If they really wanted to, they could give us several Dirks, and we will create a time unit to share. Patience, Private. Again, that is why you are here. Maybe they have an idea. Really good. FTL communications, interstellar FTL travel, multiple other species contacted, and alliances. That should clear it up. A few more frutums passed, and suddenly a great wall of text is sent. We have a unit that is designed to be deduced from nothing. It is called the Second. To find its length, get a small amount of the 55th element, Cesium, purified to obtain solely one of whose core's weight is 133 units, then cooled it to absolute zero temperature. The frequency at which it changes between the two lowest energy levels, hyperfine ground states, is said to be 9,192,631,770 a second. Counting that number of cycles is, by definition, the length of a second. What? What is it? They answered already. Really? Yes, and their definition, we need some physicists. But we know exactly how long this time unit is. In fact, it is likely we have everything we need in the glass of water. Let me see it. The overseer pushes Brunt out the way and quickly scans the document. After reading, he leans back and shakes his head incredulously. What is the matter, overseer? Nothing. Just that I think we both learned not to underestimate the other side again. They still have not stated where to meet. True, but they probably want to hear that we received this already. While leaning over to write out their reply message, Brunt immediately snatches the pen back from the overseer, so goated, as the antenna starts beeping again. Also, we are to be sending another message shortly for a test. As soon as you get it, reply back. Do not wait for the entire message. Just reply with an A. That's a little rude. Not to wait for a reply. Yes, it is, but there may be a method to their madness. Wait for a reply back and send the A, and ask what it was about. Yes, sir. Several frutums later. A. What was the purpose of that? We were able to communicate no issue before. Why are you checking individual letters? No reply is heard from many frutums. Eventually a reply is heard. Okay, so we now know which direction you're in and how far away you are within a small area of uncertainty. From this, we can say that the best meeting spot would be between the pulsars that have frequencies of 7.256 cycles per second, hertz, 0.4587 hertz, and 0.0145 hertz. The system to meet in inside this triangle would be the one that is twice as close to 7.256 hertz as compared to the others. That was fast and quite accurate. Indeed. They must have had to communicate with another species before. The accuracy on these measurements is astounding. To think using something so common, it can be found in water, to determine the definition of time, it is simple and genius simultaneously. And not only were they able to communicate the pulsar locations, but the location of the system inside the area. Quite so. I'll leave you to fleshing out the details now, as I see that you are getting the idea of not underestimating others. Brunt leans back in his seat, satisfied that he is finally doing a good job, and marveling at the accuracy of these others' capabilities of telling time. Going back into his stupor, he is calm and relaxed. Beep, 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 beep. As it seems that you do not have time based on inherent properties, please see the following describing distance unit meter. It is defined by the speed of light in a vacuum, where light will travel 299792458 meters in 1 second. A standard human who you are talking to is roughly 2 meters tall. Astounding. They were able to predict what info we would need next and provide it to us, and they have these units ready to use. Thank you for this unit. Also, how many other species have you met by communications only? You have units solely defined based on constants across space, and they are easy to work with. It'll take time for our scientists to build these machines and to make these measurements, though, but they're going to be more accurate than what we have already. You may have redefined time here. Brunt, taking a short break after writing out this message, massages his wrist from the amount of letters punched out and to transmit that. Just as he's relaxing, more beeping. We have met no other species via communications only, and only one other species. How is that possible? Why would your base unit be set upon these constants otherwise? Long ago, some people decided to redefine measurements on a more accurate system. It was decided to make these based on natural phenomena rather than royal decree or physical prototypes. This was made to correlate with the thought that the world can be explored by anyone and everyone can add to it. They started off with the meter, and slowly all units of measurement were added, so that no one owns the meter. No one can change the meter on a whim, and its length is fixed, as its measurement to a more accurate level boosts how precise it can be measured with. The meter and the correlated units are set, and given the definition and enough time, anyone can determine anything to this common system, no matter what. No worries about war destroying them, nor rust and time decay, nor others who think they are better than themselves and want to change it. They are permanent and probably the most scientifically human thing about us. To learn, to understand, to determine the most pure absolute about anything possible, and to continue to improve on it. End of story. I would just like to thank the T5 supporters: Bushmaster 117, Caspar Arnholtz, Draxzoon WRE, Elijah Silvercross, Gray, John Carrington, and Severin Cerberus. Thank you very much.